Welcome to another Democracy4All video. Today we will be talking about how money is replacing the voices of citizens in American politics and eroding our democracy. Money talks. It always has. From the earliest days of civilization, currency has been a powerful tool, shaping societies and influencing decisions. But in American politics, it now shouts from the rooftops, drowning out the voices of ordinary citizens. The influence of money has grown exponentially, overshadowing the democratic principles we hold dear. Our system is awash in cash, much of it from undisclosed sources, shaping elections and policies in ways most Americans can only guess at. This influx of money creates an uneven playing field, where the wealthy have a louder voice and greater influence. This is the reality of the money game, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The integrity of our democratic process is at risk, and with it, the trust of the American people. The 2024 election cycle provided a stark reminder of money's grip on our democracy. Campaigns are increasingly expensive, and candidates often find themselves beholden to their biggest donors. Billion-dollar campaigns are the new normal, fueled by a complex web of political action committees, dark money groups, and wealthy donors. These entities operate with little transparency, making it difficult for the public to understand who is truly behind the political messages they see. This flood of money distorts our political discourse, erodes public trust, and threatens the very foundations of our republic. When the focus shifts from the needs of the many to the desires of the few, democracy suffers. This isn't just about Republicans or Democrats. It's a bipartisan issue that affects all Americans, regardless of political affiliation. It's about the integrity of our system. When money becomes the primary currency of political influence, we all lose. The principles of fairness and equality are compromised. When money becomes the primary currency of political influence, we all lose. The voices of ordinary citizens are drowned out, and the promise of a government by the people, for the people, fades. This video will delve into the murky world of campaign finance, examining the key players and their impact on American democracy. We'll uncover the hidden mechanisms that allow money to flow unchecked through our political system. We'll explore the landmark Citizens United case, which opened the floodgates for unlimited corporate spending in elections, the rise of super PACs and dark money, and how these entities operate in the shadows, influencing our political landscape without accountability, and the urgent need for reform. The current system is unsustainable, and without significant changes, the future of our democracy is at risk. The time for complacency is over. We must act now to reclaim our democracy from the grip of moneyed interests. We must demand transparency, accountability, and a government that truly represents the people, not just the highest bidders. Only then can we restore faith in our democratic institutions and ensure a fair and just society for all. The year 2010 marked a turning point in American campaign finance law, a moment that would reverberate through the political landscape for years to come. This seismic shift was brought about by the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United v. Federal Election Commission, a case that would become synonymous with the debate over money in politics. This landmark ruling, decided by a narrow 5-4 majority, fundamentally altered the relationship between money and politics in the United States. It was a decision that would open the floodgates to unprecedented levels of political spending. At the heart of the case was a challenge to campaign finance laws that restricted corporations and unions from spending money on political campaigns. These laws were designed to prevent undue influence and maintain the integrity of the electoral process. The court's majority opinion, written by Justice Anthony Kennedy, argued that these restrictions violated the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech. Kennedy contended that the government could not limit independent political expenditures by corporations and unions. The court's decision was met with immediate controversy. It sparked a fierce debate about the role of money in politics and the influence of wealthy donors and corporations. Critics argued that it would unleash a torrent of corporate money into politics, drowning out the voices of ordinary citizens. They feared that the decision would lead to a political landscape dominated by the interests of the wealthy and powerful. They warned that the ruling would give corporations and wealthy donors an unfair advantage in elections, undermining the principle of one person, one vote. This principle is fundamental to the democratic process, ensuring that every citizen's voice is heard equally. The impact of Citizens United was swift and profound. In the years following the decision, the political landscape saw a dramatic increase in spending by outside groups. It paved the way for the creation of super PACs, political committees that can raise and spend unlimited sums of money from corporations, unions, and individuals. These super PACs quickly became major players in American elections, wielding significant influence. The ruling also led to a surge in dark money, political spending from undisclosed sources. This lack of transparency raised concerns about accountability and the potential for corruption in the political process. In response to these developments, activists and reformers have called for new measures to address the influence of money in politics. They argue that restoring transparency and fairness is essential to preserving the integrity of American democracy. Political action committees, or PACs, have long been a part of the American political landscape. These committees are formed by corporations, labor unions, or other organizations to pool money and contribute to political campaigns. Traditional PACs are subject to contribution limits, meaning they can only accept a certain amount of money from each donor. Super PACs, on the other hand, are a relatively new phenomenon. They emerged in the wake of the Citizens United decision, which lifted restrictions on independent political spending by corporations and unions. Unlike traditional PACs, super PACs can raise and spend unlimited amounts of money. The emergence of super PACs has had a significant impact on American elections. These committees have injected vast sums of money into campaigns, often outspending the candidates themselves. Super PACs have also been criticized for their lack of transparency, as they are not required to disclose their donors in a timely manner. The rise of super PACs has raised concerns about the influence of wealthy donors and special interest groups in politics. Critics argue that these committees give the wealthy a disproportionate voice in our democracy, drowning out the voices of ordinary citizens. Unfortunately, there is still another way for big money to corruptly influence American politics, namely 501c4 nonprofit corporations. Named after a section of the tax code, these nonprofit groups are ostensibly dedicated to social welfare causes. While super PACs operate with a degree of transparency, social welfare organizations are big political spenders that thrive in the shadows. These social welfare organizations have increasingly become vehicles for funneling dark money into elections. Unlike traditional charities, social welfare organizations are not required to disclose their donors. This makes them attractive to individuals and corporations who wish to influence elections without public scrutiny. Dark money spent through these organizations has skyrocketed in recent years, further obscuring the true sources of political influence. The lack of transparency surrounding social welfare organization spending raises serious concerns about accountability. When voters don't know who is funding political campaigns, it becomes impossible to assess potential conflicts of interest or hidden agendas. This opacity erodes public trust and fuels cynicism about the political process. Critics argue that the IRS, tasked with overseeing these organizations, lacks the resources and enforcement tools to prevent abuse. Calls for greater transparency and regulation of social welfare organizations have grown louder, but meaningful reform remains elusive. Now let's talk some more about the danger dark money poses to fair elections, and to our democracy itself. Dark money, the lifeblood of shadowy political operations, thrives on secrecy. It operates in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the public and the media, creating a veil of mystery around its true origins and intentions. This term refers to funds spent to influence elections where the source of the money remains hidden from public view. These funds can come from various sources, including corporations, unions, and wealthy individuals, all seeking to sway political outcomes without revealing their identities. While some disclosure requirements exist, loopholes and lax enforcement allow dark money to flow freely, obscuring the forces shaping our political landscape. These loopholes are often exploited by those with deep pockets and a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. The rise of dark money is deeply troubling for several reasons. It not only skews the political playing field, but also undermines the very principles of democracy that our society is built upon. Firstly, it undermines transparency and accountability. When the sources of campaign funds are hidden, it becomes nearly impossible to hold candidates and elected officials accountable for their actions and decisions. When voters don't know who is funding campaigns, they can't make informed decisions about the candidates and issues. This lack of information leaves voters in the dark, making it difficult for them to trust the political process. This lack of transparency breeds cynicism and distrust in the political process. Voters begin to question the integrity of elections and the motivations of those running for office. Secondly, dark money gives disproportionate influence to special interests and wealthy donors. These powerful entities can shape policy and legislation to their advantage, often at the expense of the general public. These individuals and organizations can pour unlimited sums of money into elections without fear of public scrutiny, potentially swaying outcomes in their favor. This creates an uneven playing field where the voices of ordinary citizens are drowned out by the financial might of a few. This undermines the principle of one person, one vote, and threatens to turn elections into auctions. In such a scenario, political power is effectively sold to the highest bidder, eroding the democratic ideal of equal representation. Finally, dark money erodes public trust in democracy itself. When the electorate believes that elections are influenced by hidden forces, their faith in the democratic process is severely compromised. When citizens believe that elections are bought and sold by unseen forces, they become disillusioned and disengaged. This disillusionment can lead to lower voter turnout and a general apathy towards civic duties. This apathy can have a corrosive effect on civic participation and undermine the very foundations of our democracy. To preserve the integrity of our political system, it is crucial to address the issue of dark money and ensure greater transparency in campaign finance. From Democracy4All, thank you for watching. Please share this video far and wide. Bye for now.